Hello folks, I'm Madhu Patel. I work as a software engineer at Adobe, and today I will be speaking about efficient resource management, scaling, monitoring, logging, and optimizing heterogeneous server architectures. So, before moving on to the topic, let me share some details about the work that I do at Adobe. So, if you see here, this is Creative Cloud platform of Adobe. So here we have two documents, one of PNG format, and uh, the thumbnails or the renditions are visible over here. So if I refresh page, then you will be able to see the thumbnails coming up. So for any kind of documents you upload at Creative Cloud or other platforms, cloud platforms of Adobe, we make renditions for those documents. In this slide, you can see the different other formats as well, be it text format, PPT, load, Excel, or PDF. So these thumbnails, or the term, the technology technical term that we use at Adobe is renditions. So these renditions are made by our team. Yeah, so like we have different type of machines where our service run. And it may run on the Linux machine, and it has different components which run on Linux machine, and the overall service run on the Linux machine, but the other components of the service that it depends upon runs on the Linux machine, and some part runs on the Windows machine. And our engineers work on setting up those machines. And I was given that opportunity to prepare an infra and set up resources for running our service on various clusters. We serve traffic for various regions, US VA6, VA7, VA6C2, and Japan JPN3 and IRL. And we have different kind of app servers, data servers, databases, and cache servers that we have a different terms and terminologies for all the servers. And we make all the servers in the sync, and we serve the live traffic. And Before going more on the details of the heterogeneous system architecture, so here is a very brief or a very high level architecture of any service that we have in that I worked upon at Adobe. So here, if a client makes a request to a service, so it will come through a path. So that is the gateway, network gateway. And between the client and the network gateway, there would be load balancers that will help in landing the request at the right place. And before serving the request to the service, before sending the request to the service, there would be different authentication and validations that may include the service authentication or client level authentication and API key validations, etc. And then the request come to a service, and if that request has some other requirements as well, be it that the request depends upon the worker or the microservices, then accordingly it will go into the a worker's workflow or the microservices workflow. So like the documents that I showed in the previous slide, so every type of document has a different component and has a different programming language that the worker is written on, and has a different operating system that it supports. So it is a heterogeneous distributed system architecture in that case. And it becomes really important for our service to monitor and to make it more efficient, and to anticipate the growth of the workload and user base and the data volume, uh, and other key performance indicators, that is KPIs. and the response time as well, uh, to store the logs and to scrape those logs to monitor the service. So here I have shown a pictorial representation of that mechanism. So first we scrape, or the data collection part is done, and then we have the transportation part. So in that case we have like different toolkits. So in our case we use Kafka, and then we have storage. For storage, so we use AWS, Azure, and for monitoring we use like Kibana, Kubernetes dashboards, Grafana, Splunk, Prometheus, or CloudWatch. And in case of alerting, there are different set of alertings, be it New Relic, Splunk, Prometheus, or PagerDuty. So I will cover all these things in detail in the coming slides. Yeah. So uh, coming upon the heterogeneous architecture, so it composed of diverse hardware, operating system, and software components. This is the diversity of the heterogeneous server, and it may include the physical, virtual, or cloud-based containerized instances, as well as different operating systems, databases, programming languages, and middlewares. And every like If we are running such a complex architecture that involves so many instances running up on a single machine, on a single baseline or a single machine, so there it comes up with its own challenges when it comes to scaling. So we have compatibility issues. So for example, if there is a service and there are several components of it, if one component runs on Python and other component runs on Java and other component runs on CPP, so every component has a different programming language and has a different middleware, and it runs on a different operating system. So there might be a compatibility issues between all those components. And in that case, the resource allocation and to check upon the efficient CPU and memory utilization, it becomes really crucial to identify all those bottlenecks and check if how they are and how each component support all these things, and work upon uh, and uh, and the service how the service supports all these things, and how the different components work on these things. uh, and like You guys can interrupt me in between if you have any questions, or we can take up the questions in the end. uh, okay, sure. Yeah, so then we have the performance variability. So since every component is working on a different is working with a different mechanism, and it supports different hardware and operating systems, uh, so so there is uneven scaling policies for all the components, and in that case we need to monitor, we need to optimize, we need to do the logging part, so that we can make scaling rules for all different scaling rules for all the components. And complexity part, as understood that there are diverse configurations, monitoring tools, and troubleshooting procedures for all the components. Yeah. So if in such a way, in such a complex heterogeneous architecture, we have to we when it comes to scaling, so first step should be like we have to access the current architecture in such a way that We include we have an understanding of the existing architecture, including types of servers, operating system, databases, and identifying the performance bottlenecks, scalability limitations, and areas of improvement. And defining the scaling defining the scaling goals based on the anticipated growth of the workload, user base, or data volumes. And then choose then we have to choose the specific or the appropriate scaling strategies. When it comes to scaling strategies, we have different types of scaling strategies, be it horizontal scaling strategy. So in case of horizontal scaling strategy, so we have to add up more instances for the components to distribute workload across the multiple servers, and it can be like deploying more load balancer in between the machines, and we have to manage the scale out infrastructure. And then we have like the vertical scaling. So in case of scaling, we have to increase the memory, or we can increase the memory, or we can increase CPU for that particular existing server that is running and where our service is currently running. And then we have the hybrid scaling as well. So it is a combination of horizontal and vertical scaling, and it is based upon the workload characteristics and workload characteristics and other user base or the other data volumes that are there in a service. And we then also have to address the compatibility as mentioned earlier, and like the validating the dependencies, the version compatibility, and the interdependencies between the different components, and standard protocols and APIs that are there while running the service. The other component that should be taken care of uh, scaling the heterogeneous systems is monitoring the resource uses, and monitoring the resource uses and identifying the efficiencies and the other resources that are there. So be it the memory utilization, CPU utilization, throughput, or or the CPU lag, or the DB polling, or the storage. So these things need to be monitored thoroughly before jumping on to making the scaling rules. And then there is scalable data management. So distributed databases, data partitioning, or sharding techniques to distribute the data across various nodes that are there for a particular service. So data consistency, integrity, durability across distributed data stores through a replication, synchronization, and transaction management mechanisms is there. So data partitioning and sharding concepts in the use case to distribute the data across multiple nodes becomes very crucial in that case. And then like monitoring, testing, and iterating the things to do the things in repetitive manner or iterative manner, so that we come upon a value that we know that this we like for our service we have these many number of requests, and we have many uh, read and writes in our database, and according to that a scaling policy and the database scaling and the load balancer scaling and the scaling at all these levels can be defined for the service. And if we want to as I talked about the scaling, so if the scaling works out and we are able to analyze the data and we are able to come up on a value for scaling, for defining the scaling policies, because we have some logs or we have some data to analyze based on the previous run of the service. So logging becomes very important in that case to identify the issue and to do the root cause analysis and to do the performance monitoring, or to identify the exact to analyze the service, the the performance matrices of the service. And there are different log levels that are used. So we have the standard log levels: debug, info, warn, error, fatal, to categorize log messages based on the severity. And the structured logging is basically we have the structured logging formats such as the JSON or the key value pairs. Then we have the log rotation. So log rotation policies are used to manage the log file size and the retention of the logs that we have. Yeah. So log management platforms are they act as a kind of storage where we dump all the logs at one centralized in one centralized storage system. So we have for that Logstash, or we have Prometheus, or there are different log management storage systems. One is Prometheus or Cortex, and then we have different log monitoring tools out of those. So we have like Kibana, Splunk, or Grafana. So they uses the data that is dumped in the Prometheus or the data centers to visualize several matrices, be it CPU or the number of requests per second or throughput or retention, these kind of things. We also have different logging libraries. Log4j, Logbase, and Serilog are some of the example. We also have log shippers. So log shippers is basically used to collect logs from the different data sources, and we parse them and forward them to different nodes of the service where uh, we have to push the logs from. And then we have to visualize those things and make a particular dashboard out of it, and then we can define different alerting or uh, monitoring rules for the service. Yeah, so now in this diagram, this is a simple representation of the logging. So we have the log, and then we do the data processing using the Logstash tool. And then for the storage, we have Elastic from and this for storage we have like Prometheus and Cortex, and from those we do the Elasticsearch, and we then use Kibana to visualize the matrices. Now, coming on to the monitoring. So monitoring becomes really important when we want to uh, check the health of the servers, and we want to do the resource utilization, or we want to know the performance of the application. And it typically uses a tool or a service that is called Kafka, and which is a distributed commit log. And it uses different functions on API such as punctuate. And punctuate is basically called before consuming any message. And after each successful process, it tells that okay, so I have done the fetching part, and I've consumed that particular message, and then that message goes to the service, and the service then processes the request that is there in the message, and the output is then sent back to the to that pipeline. Yeah. So in this, we have like I have shown the storage tool that is Prometheus. So we have Prometheus as a data storage center, and Prometheus is a open source monitoring and alerting toolkit, and it basically collects and stores data as time series. So time series is basically when mattress information is stored with some timestamp at which it was recorded, and other uh, we also have some other key value pairs as well that are called labels. And in the diagram we have we can see we have cortex as well. So cortex is basically a scalable long-term storage solution that complements Prometheus and provides a better way to handle and query large amount of monitoring data. And from the Prometheus servers, we use PromQL queries to fetch the data, and then we use Grafana or Prometheus Web UIs to make the visual representation of the data to and then and that it is exported to the service or the service admin, and this can be used to fetch up and this can be further used to monitor the exact the roles of the service. And the second diagram also shows the Prometheus versus Cortex. So as I mentioned, that Prometheus is a open source monitoring toolkit, whereas the Cortex is a long-term storage solution that uses Prometheus and provides a better way to handle or query the data or the large amount of data. So in the diagram also shows that we have Grafana, PagerDuty, Slack, and various webhooks. For Slack, we use webhooks for one Slack channel has one webhook, and uh, by using the alerts and by like we set up the alert rules based on the different threshold, and then if that threshold is passed, then we have like then the alerts hit, and the alerts then are sent to the emails or to the Slack channels. And in case of there are different severity as well, so severity 1, severity 2, or SEF 3. So like based on the severity, it filters out it filters out we have that capability to filter out the alerts based on the severity, and we can send it to different Slack channels. And for more severe alerts, it can be sent to the PagerDuty, and the on-call engineer will then test and check how it has to be resolved. Then we have the Prometheus integration with the distributed systems. So there are various ways to integrate the Prometheus with the running system. So we can either deploy the Prometheus server to directly collect matrices for the host. So Aerospike is one tool that helps in integrating the Prometheus with the service. And then we have and like for the first process, of course we need like the we need the network connectivity between the host and the service. And then in case of deploy Prometheus, like the second method is deploy Prometheus as agent on each node. So like there are different nodes for the there are different nodes at which like at which a service runs. So each node will have one Prometheus host, and the data for the service at that particular node will be dumped at to that Prometheus host, and then it will write matrices directly to the Cortex, which is a hub storage platform. And this is basically a push model where we are pushing the alerts at particular nodes. Yeah, so the Prometheus can also be used, or uh, can also be can also be uh, distributed on the basis of namespaces. So we have like different namespaces for a particular service. So it can be dev, or it can be stage or testing. So we can have a centralized namespace for dev, or we say the testing environment, and then a different namespace for stage environment, and a different namespace for prod environment. And inside all these environments, so for example say stage, so stage will have like stage will run on different regions as well. So stage VS6, or stage VS6C2, or stage APN3, or stage IRL1, or stage VS7. So, like namespaces, by defining the Prometheus clusters based on the namespace level, so things will become more simple, and the monitoring would be much easier. So here is the like the representation of how we can use the Prometheus operator using the namespaces, and like this is the code of the YAML, or it can be done using the YAML or JSON formats. And it can also be done by installing the Prometheus stack via the Helm chart, using like the Prometheus operator chart directly as a sub project. And like the languages that are generally used is like the YAML or the JSON formats. Then we have the like as we have set up rules for once, but the but as the system progresses, and as we have many requests for a service, and as the service progresses, and we have like the everything else around it everything everyone else around it can see. So okay, so I just got a notification that 1 minute is remaining. So can I take 2-3 minutes extra, because like a lot of content is remaining? Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, so then like I'll quickly wrap up the things. So we have like this is how we can do the dashboarding parts, and how we can set up Grafana. So here we have uh, uh, these are the steps for setting up Grafana. So we have Grafana dashboard. So we have to add a data source. We have to add the we have to take permissions, and then adding users, and then adding the exporter services that are shown in the slides. And for the data sources, one important tool is Jagger. So this is typically used in most of the services. And these are the examples of setting up the alerting and the and how the logs and how the logging part is done at the service. So like then we have the dashboards as code. So here we, like in the previous slides, we saw that the dashboards were set up using the UI, but since the requirements and the things may get changed in future, so it becomes so to scale the service at a better level. So using the dashboards as code and using the JSON formats and using different libraries that use those coding, so that would be easier to do the manual stuff, to do the to minimize the manual stuff. So the libraries used are Grafana lib, that is a Python library, and then we have Graphonet, that is a Sonnet library, and then like alerts can also be set using code. Uh, then we have different alerting, then it comes to alerting, so we can set up different alerting rules using the prompt queries, and then we can route the alerts to different Slack channels or the PagerDuty, and like danger for centralized alerting. So it is not recommended to use the centralized alerting because it has different drawbacks. Mainly the single point of failure is a major cause. And this diagram shows how different teams uses the the hub cortex storage system in pulling up the matrix that is required, and then setting up the recording rules or setting up the alerting rules for a service. Then we have the distributed tracing. Yeah, sure, James. Yeah, like only two slides are left. This is the second last slide. Yeah, so distributed tracing ensures the quality, reliability of the applications in development and the staging environment. So different libraries that are used for visualizing the traces system is OpenTelemetry and Zupkin. So this is the workflow for using the OpenTelemetry. So it has that OTel agent that is used to do the visualization part. Yeah, so that was a very uh, I was running short of time in the last few slides, but I hope the it was useful to everyone. And if you have any questions, so I would be happy to answer those. Okay. Thank you so much.